L7.3, where we're going to be factoring trinomials, where we have x squared plus bx plus c. And our b value, what that is saying, what are we multiplying the x by? How many x's are there? That's our b value. And our c value, what's our constant that's at the end of our trinomial that is written in standard form. So on Friday, last Friday, you had a worksheet, an in-class activity where you worked with trying to find a pattern. And we call this, it was called the diamond method. The diamond method, I had you doing that because it provides us a way to factor, to find the factors for quadratic trinomials. Remember, quadratic means degree 2. So we have a degree 2 trinomial, x squared, and there are 3 terms, so it's a trinomial. So we're going to learn today how can we factor quadratic trinomials. So suppose we want to factor x squared plus 11x plus 10. So in other words, that's the product of some multiplication. And so I'm telling you that its factors are x plus 10 times x plus 1. So I'm saying those two binomials are the factors of x squared plus 11x plus 10. Let's verify that it is by doing the multiplication that we have learned how to do, the foiling. So when we FOIL, we would, our F step would be x times x, that's x squared. Our O step would be x times 1, that is x, or 1x if you want the 1 there. Our I step, the inside terms, 10 times x, 10x. And the L step, our last terms times each other, 10 times 1, which is 10. And remember that what we do with these is we set up an addition problem, so we have x squared plus 1x plus 10x plus 10. We have those like terms here in the middle, so we can rewrite this as x squared, a 1x plus a 10x is 11x. So x squared plus 11x plus 10 is the product of those two binomials, in this case known as factors. We have the factor x plus 10 times the other factor x plus 1. When we multiply them out, we can see that they do get us back to the trinomial, the quadratic trinomial that we started with. So when you're factoring, if you want to make sure that you have it correct, those factors correct, or at least be somewhat sure, you can multiply them back out and see if it takes you to where you need to go. Okay, so here's how we factor them. Those factors end with the numbers that multiply to be the C value of, so in this case our C value was 10, and add up to be the B value. B is how many x's there are, of 11. So in our diamond method, which you should have discovered on Friday with that, is when you were trying to find those two side numbers, those two numbers on the sides here that we don't have filled in here, those had to multiply to get the C value that is up here, and they had to add up to get the B value that's down here. So what we're going to do is we're going to put in ours here, we're going to put, what is our C value? Our C value is 10. Our B value is 11. So what we're looking for are the numbers that multiply to be 10, and yet at the same time they will add up to be 11. So we have 1 times 10, those multiply to be 10. We have 2 times 5, those multiply to be 10. We also have those negatives that can be, like -1 times -10 multiplied to be +10. -2 times -5 multiplied to be +10. But remember, they also have to, so we had 4 pair there, but our pair has to add up to be 11. So the pair that's going to work for us is the 1 times 10, or 10 times 1. Remember, order does not matter in multiplication. So, x squared plus 11x plus 10, where b is equal to 11 and c is equal to 10. Our factored name, we're going to say, is x plus, what did we get here? This is where we're going to get those from. So we have x plus 1, x plus 10. So it's showing you how we get to those factors. So we already verified up above that those factors multiplied out to x squared plus 11x plus 10. Now I'm showing you how to get to it using the diamond method. Okay, let's go to the backside and practice. We have our first one, x squared plus 15x plus 50. First thing you always want to do is make sure that it's all addition. If it isn't, we're going to change it to add the opposite, because it's going to be really important that we identify our b and our c value correctly. So this one is already all addition, so we don't need to change anything. Our b value is the number of x's, so we have 15, and our c value is 50. Okay, so what do we need? We need to find what numbers multiply to be 50. So we need a 50 up there in our diamond. And at the same time, those same two numbers will add up to be our b value, which is 15, down here in our diamond. Oops, I guess I don't need a line there. We know what our b value is. So it's really what we're looking for. What multiplies to be 50? Which pair of factors for 50 multiply to be 50, but yet also add up to be 15? So we have 1 times 50, 1 plus 50, now that's 51. 2 times 25 is 50. 2 plus 25, though, is 27. 5 goes into 50. 5 times 10 is 50. And 5 plus 10 is 15. So it appears that our numbers that we can put here in the middle of our diamond, on the outsides of our diamond, are 5 and 10. Okay. So we now know what both of our factors should end with. They both are going to start with x, because remember the f step of FOIL gets us, the first times the first gets us that first term of our trinomial. So our factors are going to start with x. It's a positive 5, so we have plus 5. It's a positive 10, so we have plus 10. This right here is our final answer. This is the factored name of the trinomial x squared plus 15x plus 50. If we multiplied that back out, if we FOILed it, it should get us back to x squared plus 15x plus 50. Okay, let's try the second one that we have here. X squared minus 7x plus 12. Okay, reminder, the first thing we're going to do, if there's subtraction in it, change it to add the opposite. Because we want to make sure that we do a good job of identifying the b and the c value. Because that's going to be our next step. What is our b value? What is our c value? And you need to write that down, okay? Get used to doing that because it's going to be really important for when this gets a little bit more challenging. So B is -7, C is 12. It's in standard form, it's pretty easy to pick them out. Okay, let's draw our diamond. And in our diamond, we put the C value up the top, we put the B value at the bottom, and we are looking for numbers that will multiply to be that C, and they have to add up to be that B value. So we're looking for what pair of factors of 12 will add up to -7. Now remember, you had that warm-up worksheet that you corrected at the beginning of class on Friday, and hopefully you either got that back now at the beginning of class today after getting started, or maybe it hasn't been handed back to you yet, and we could pause right now and get it back to you. Sometimes it's good to have that. Maybe positive 12 is on there and it shows you the pairs of factors that get to 12. And then you could look at those and decide, well, which of those adds up to -7. So because they have to add up to be a negative, but yet multiply to be a positive, I already know they both have to be negative, because a negative times a negative is a positive, and a negative plus a negative is a negative. So I'm going to go with -4 and -3. -4 times -3 is positive 12, and -4 plus -3 do add up to -7. So I have found the two numbers that work in my diamond, which are going to help me set up my two binomial factors. And this time, because it's a negative, we'll just go right to writing it as -4, because that negative can become a subtraction, and we have a negative for the other one also, so it'll be -3. We could start it out by saying we have x plus a -4 and x plus a -3, and then we could clean it up, and they would clean up to x minus 4 times x minus 3. Now this is multiplication, you're finding factors, so these are in parentheses, backed up next to each other, showing that there's multiplication going on here. If we wanted to check it to see if it was the correct factor name, we would FOIL it back out. So this is the factor name for the quadratic trinomial x squared minus 7x plus 12. Okay, ready to move on to the next one. We're going to, again, change subtraction. We got a subtraction in this, so we'll change it to add the opposite. And first step, identify the B and the C. So B is 8, C is -20. So we're going to put those in our diamond. We have the -20 that goes up, the 8 that goes down. And make sure you do that correctly also. So again, what we need is what two numbers multiply to be -20, but at the same time those numbers add up to be +8. Okay, so we're looking for a pair of factors for -20. Now, to get a negative number when you're multiplying a pair of numbers, one of them has to be negative and the other is going to have to be positive. So we know that we're going to have to look for a pair where one is positive, one is negative. And then when we add them together, they got to add up to that +8. So let's think of some numbers that multiply to be 20. That multiply to be 20, first of all. Don't even worry about the negative at the moment. We got 1 and 20, 2 and 10, 4 and 5. Okay, and we need them, though, one of those to be negative, one to be positive, and add up to 8. Now, just a little hint. When they have to multiply to be a negative, where one of them has to be negative and the other has to be positive. Really, the thing to do is to look at that b value of 8 and say, which two factors are 8 units of distance apart? Are the 1 and 20? Are the 2 and 10? Or are the 4 and 5? The 2 and 10 are 8 units of distance apart. So we're going to have a 2, we're going to have a 10, but we got to decide which one should be negative so that when you add them together, you'll end up at positive 8. So if I make the 2 negative and the 10 positive, do those add up to positive 8? Negative 2 plus 10 is positive 8, so we're going to give the negative sign to the 2. So we have negative 2, positive 10. So again, let's come over here and we'll set up our binomial factors. No plus sign between those two sets of parentheses. This is multiplication. We're showing what binomial times what binomial gets you that trinomial. So we have our numbers right here in the middle. So we're going to do x subtract 2, x plus 10. There's our factored name. This should FOIL back out to be x squared plus 8x minus 20. We are good. Okay, we got one last one to practice. Number 4, x squared minus x minus 42. Well, got a couple of subtractions this time. We better get that taken care of first. X squared plus negative, I'm going to put a 1 in there, plus negative 42. Next, we're going to identify our b and our c. So our b is negative 1, our c is negative 42. It's like a little more challenging one. We need a diamond where negative 42 is up, negative 1 is down. So we're looking for what times what equals negative 42. And at the same time, those two numbers add up to negative 1. Okay, so remember our little thought process. If it has to multiply to be a negative, one's going to be negative, one's going to be positive. And so then when we're talking about the factors of it, we're going to say what factors have a distance between them of, even though this is negative 1 right now, we're just going to focus on the two factors of 42. We're going to not worry about the negatives right now. The two factors of 42 have to be 1 unit of distance apart. So we have 1 times 42. No, those are 41 units of distance apart. 2 times 21. No, those are 19 units of distance apart. 3 goes into 42. 14 times. 3 and 14 are 11 units of distance apart. 4 doesn't go in, 5 doesn't go in, 6 goes into 42. 6 goes into 42 7 times. 6 times 7 is 42. 6 and 7 are 1 unit of distance apart. So we've decided that 6 and 7 can work. We just have to decide which one's going to be positive and which one's going to be negative, so that they will, when you add them up, they will add up to negative 1. So we have to give the negative sign to the 7. So our factors, oh, we could go in here and put them in our diamond, I'm sorry. 6 and negative 7 belong in our diamond, which helps us then set up our binomials. It's a positive 6, a negative 7. There's the factor name that should FOIL out to get x squared minus x minus 42. Okay, this is what you'll be doing in the homework today, and you'll be doing more practice of it tomorrow. And actually Wednesday, this is the only notes we're going to take on lesson 7.3. You're just going to be practicing them, and then you'll be taking a quiz on Thursday on this. So good luck, have fun with it, and we'll see you on Thursday.